It's national meets regional. It's Sidewalks Entertainment. The long-running celebrity, music, and art series. Join us for a new path to arts and entertainment.
And I love the fact you got the little Ric Flair.
He knows.
There.
He knows.
Oh, do I know wrestling? I grew up in Georgia. Yes, I know wrestling. But see, I'm from the South. You know what we call that, the South?
Belt buckle?
Just a belt buckle. Yeah. We wear those to the grocery store. And it's an interesting combination, wrestling, well, because wrestling is actually in the Bible.
Yes.
You know, remember who Jacob wrestled an angel? Which, here's my thought. If the first thing you think when you see an angel is, I'm going to wrestle him, you might be a redneck.
Our guest today is a Grammy-nominated comedian whose observations about everyday life and family have made him one of the most respected and successful comedians in the business. I'd like to welcome Jeff Foxworthy to Sidewalks.
Thank you for having me, Cindy.
So great to have you with us today.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
So when was it that you first discovered that you could actually make people laugh for a living?
Actually, at a very young age, I would save my allowance and buy comedy records like Bill Cosby and Flip Wilson and Bob Newhart, and I would go to school and do them and, you know, get in trouble for disrupting the class. And in fact, the best note I ever got backstage the first time I played the Fox Theater in Atlanta, somebody brought a note from my high school principal, and the note said, "I cannot believe I'm shelling out money to listen to the same kind of stuff I used to try to put a stop to." So.
That must have been pretty awesome to see. It's like, eat your words, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I was in that office a few times with him looking at me going, "What do you think you are, a comedian?" And I'm like, "Well, it's on the sign, Mr. Gibbons, so yeah, I think so."
Now, do you think that comedians are born, or are they just, you know, is it something you can kind of develop as a craft?
I think you can get better at it. You learn to be a better writer and to be more concise. But I think you're either born funny or you're not. I mean, most of the people I know that are successful at this, they've been funny their entire lives.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that certainly comes in handy. You are the host of a game show called the American Bible Challenge. How did you sort of get hooked up with this program, and why don't you tell us about it for those that have not seen it?
Well, I never thought I would be a game show host until Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader came around, and I found that I really liked doing it. So based on the success of that, GSN kind of wanted to do a show like that, but about the Bible. And so, you know, they came to me, and I thought, okay, you know, is this all right to have fun with? I mean, I'm a comedian, but I'm also a man of faith, and I think that joy and humor is one of the attributes God breathed into us. And so, but I thought, well, will other people be okay with this? And they have been. It's the highest rated show in the history of GSN. We had like 13 million viewers the first season.
Congratulations, that is wonderful. Yeah. And now to augment that, you've also brought on Grammy-winning gospel singer Kirk Franklin, who's going to be kind of your musical counterpart, you might say. What a coup is that?
Yeah, well, you know, the first season we had a choir, and then we thought, let's even have more fun the second season, so we brought Kirk in. He's so much fun. I said, look, I love the old-time songs, but you got to do Stomp at least once before this season is over. And we really tried to mix up the teams this year to kind of destroy that myth about what a Christian might look like. And so we have bikers, we have wrestlers, we have cowboys, we have street rappers, we have nuns, we have young people, we have old people. So it's kind of all across the board. It's everybody. And I've always said the thing that really drew me to this show is it's the only game show where nobody keeps the money. That whatever they win, they turn around and they love on somebody in their community with it. Whether it's a sick child or a food pantry or whatever, everybody gives the money away.
That is amazing. That's a novelty. I mean, besides celebrities kind of doing their game shows, I'm not sure we've ever seen a show quite like that before.
Well, I don't either. I mean, if you read the Bible, the only people Jesus got sideways with were the people that only had head knowledge. They knew the facts, but you didn't see it in their lives. And so these people that are playing on the show, they have heart knowledge. I mean, they're out there doing this stuff already. We're just giving them an opportunity to get more money and turn around and do it more. And that's when, to me, faith becomes interesting. It's not so much what you tell people, but when they can see it in your lives, and you sit there and think, all right, why would people feed other people they don't know out their back door? Now it's interesting, and I think that's kind of the cool thing that's come out in this show.
Definitely. Well, one of the things that has been just so much fun for your audiences is the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. You know, you get with your partners, Bill Engvall, Ron White, and Larry the Cable Guy, and you guys just go to town. How much fun is it to work with those fellas?
It's a ball. You know, the only bad thing about being a comedian is you're kind of on the road by yourself. You're in a different city every night, and with those guys, you're there with 3 of your friends. And, you know, kind of the thing at the end, everybody talks about us on the wooden stools at the end. I got that from the Carol Burnett show, because you could just tell the people on that show liked each other, and they kind of lived to make each other laugh. And so I said, you know, why don't we just sit there? We've known each other for almost 30 years and just tell stories and try to make each other laugh, because you never see a comedian laugh. And people really responded to that.
For sure. Now, are the families friendly with each other too? Like, do you guys, you know, have backyard barbecues kind of stuff when you can get together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are. And then we're kind of spread out, because Larry's in Nebraska, I'm in Atlanta, Bill's in California, Ron's all over the place. But we became friends in those early days of, you know, playing in clubs for $20. I mean, we've just known each other forever and kind of encouraged and rooted each other on. And so I think what people see is you can't fake that. People watch it and go, they like each other, they're friends. And I think that's why it did so well.
Well, your brand of, I'll call it country fried humor, really resonates with a wide variety of people. What do you think speaks to people that make them just love to hear you talk about it?
Well, you know what? I mean, I have a Southern accent, but I think most of the things I talk about, it kind of crosses geographic lines. But I just trust, and I was lucky. I figured out early on, hey, if I think it, if my wife says it, if my family does it, surely we're not the only ones. And so I just kind of tell the story of my life, whether it's, you know, an HBO special or a CD or whatever. It's kind of a picture of what's going on in my life at that moment. And, you know, the biggest compliment I get is people come up after the show and they're like, oh my gosh, you've been in our house. And I'm like, good, you know, because we're much more alike than we are different. And I think that the success I've had with albums or whatever proves that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you've got grown daughters that are, you know, in their probably early 20s now. I can imagine that when they brought their boyfriends home that their dad embarrassed them to death. I got to ask you, are there any stories that come to mind when you think about how you pulled a fast one on one of your kids?
You know what? Because it was so nice when my kids were little, because they didn't realize I was talking about them on national television, and now they're just mortified that I'm going to talk about them. But my family has always been my priority. I mean, even when I'm out doing shows, I fly back home every single night, and I may not get home till 2 or 3 in the morning, but I'm there when they wake up, and I'm up, and, you know, I get them out of the house. Or, you know, when they were little, I'd go to their soccer games and their basketball game, whatever they were doing. I wanted to be there for them. And so with the boyfriends, I mean, and I joke, I used to say I was going to put headstones in the flower beds next to the door and go, see that? That's the boy that tried to touch her sweater. Y'all have a good time. But I'm kind of, you know, it's like every time they date somebody and it starts getting a little serious, I go for a walk with a guy and I'm like, all right, what is it about her that you like? You know, anything you do to build her up and to keep her a young woman of character, you and I are going to be great. You do anything to mess that up, we're going to have a problem. You know, and they get a little bit embarrassed, but I think part of them's like, wow, my dad loves me enough to protect me like that.
You know what? And that is something that is incredibly important when you've got kids, especially girls, but you want them to treat them right. So good that you're making that known right off the bat. Thank you so much for being with us today on Sidewalks. It was such a pleasure to have you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Take care.
For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.